All right, we're here with another podcast. I'm Joe Wagner. I got my sidekick, Chris Rubio, the AKA Fat Mario, just because he gets up and eats a whole bunch of bagel bites and little like poo-poo platters at night. So we're going to go through a couple things today, just have a little fun, talking about entrepreneurship, wine, food, the classics, and of course, whatever the fuck we want.
Whatever the fuck we want.
Whatever the fuck. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
How do you take your coffee, actually? I'm curious.
No sugar. I just like a little bit of cream, and that's it, and I'm ready to go. Yeah.
That's kind of how I do it, but I just go with milk. You know, I tried this this THC coffee a couple a while ago.
This is gonna get good.
Yeah, and I was on a flight, so I was like getting on a flight, so I drank it just beforehand, and the paranoia kicked in. It was I've never done that again.
Okay, well, that was your first time, right?
That was my first time trying weed since I was like a teenager. Yeah.
I like that. I like that how you're just like, you know what? I haven't done this for a lot of years. I think the best time to do it is on a flight. Yeah.
It was a horrible decision. And I was with the whole marketing team and everybody just kind of like zonked out.
No, I like it. I like these standards.
Now let's get into wine because we're not doing weed.
Okay. Yeah. So I think big topics today. How to start a winery. We're going to get into how to become a rising TikTok star. That's you.
Okay. Whatever.
You're known for TikTok now. You're not known for wine.
I've had like 3 people come up to me and be like, "Don't I know you from TikTok?" And I'm like, "I'm a fucking winemaker. Like, what? This generation is fucked."
I love it. And then we'll end with what is your motivation? You know, we're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about what motivates us to do these big things. So let's start. How to start a winery. You know,
just before you get started, the placement of your mic. It takes a couple of the letters off your shirt and it says "whores" instead of "who cares."
Just for the record, my shirt says "who cares."
It's kind of distracting.
And Joe is reading something else.
You go ahead. You just sit there. Ask me about how to start a winery. And
wait, are you taking a picture of it now? Okay. Well, just where do I get placed? Just like here.
Just stay right there.
All right. Good. Oh, can we take another one? Do I look like a psycho?
You do.
No,
you
dude,
you look like Joe
dude,
from
you're such a dick, dude. No, don't post that. Don't. Yeah. No, take another one.
No.
Okay, you know what?
Post that. No.
Whatever. We're gonna move on. I have a feeling like in post that picture's gonna show up like right now.
Yeah, definitely.
So okay,
I'm
great.
sending it to Sabina.
All right. Well,
right after the
you.
podcast.
All right. So let's jump into it. Being part of your social media marketing team, the question comes up a lot. How do I start a winery? You know, I'm just starting out, and people want to know.
So I love that question, and I think that because wine is actually so like, it's so user friendly, right? You can screw it up, you can experiment. There's no right way to do it, no wrong way to do it. It really just comes down to what your philosophy is. So best way to do it is just to start making wine, and there are kits that you could buy online, and those are the simplest way to start. And you'll buy, it could be some kind of grape juice concentrate. And it'll come with your yeast and your nutrients and whatever vessels you need, and start with like a white wine. That's what I would say, because white wine, you're not dealing with any solids, pretty clean and easy. So if could you pull up a few like options? Just look up like winemaking kits and see if see what is out there. So start with that. They might be 5-gallon kits, might be 10, and then you just experiment with that. And then eventually you're going to start, if you take it seriously and you want to do more, you're going to start looking at, that's great. That's perfect right there. So Midwest Supplies, Master Vintner Kit. So it looks like you got everything you need for $199.99. You got your carboys. You got those little like doodads on the top there. Those things are, those are to keep, bugs out, number one, but also to keep it from oxidizing. So you fill those. I usually do alcohol in those so that nothing gets in, doesn't mold up or anything.
Oh, cool.
But these are great little kits. So that's where I'd start. And then when it comes to like actually doing a production, what do you need to start? Well, you need a destemmer. So you got to be able to destem. If you're doing red wines, you got to be able to destem that fruit. You don't want to do fermentations with stem-ons. Whole cluster is garbage. People say that it like adds more phenolics and structure and blah blah blah. It's like no, it tastes green. It tastes like crap. So there's a winery up in Oregon that does it like religiously on their Pinot, and it's just shit. So
Okay.
So, yeah. So then you're also going to need some sort of vessel to put that crushed fruit in. Now we have what's called must, right? So you got your juice, your pulp, your skin, and your seed, and so like a macro bin, a plastic macro bin, and then a punch down device. And if nobody knows what a punch down device is, let's get one up on the screen.
Let's bring that up.
So once you inoculate, meaning you add your yeast to your fermenter, that vessel, the cap forms. And in red wines, it's kind of like imagine all those solids that are in there, your skin and your seed and whatever else. That's all going to form a cap. So the CO2 that's created during fermentation consolidates all those solids to the top. But that's where you get all your color and all your phenolics, all your mouthfeel stuff. So you want to integrate that with that fermenting juice below. So you're going to have to punch down. So that is a very nice punch down device, and that'll work for even like 1 ton bins. So you have to start with money. I'd say you could find decent fruit for $2,000 to $3,000 a ton. 1 ton is probably going to yield you 60 to 70 cases of wine. So do the math real quick, and I don't even know what that comes out to, but probably cheaper than what you're buying it at the store for. And then barrels. And if you get good barrels, those are going to run you probably about $1,000 a piece. So if you think about 1 ton, what that's going to yield you, that's probably going to be. I'd probably get 2 barrels, and then maybe a couple of those carboys like glass vessels, so that you can keep it all topped up. And then one of the most important things: forklift or a hoist, like because you're moving heavy stuff around all the time, and so if you're at that production level, then do it. But what's cool is like you can be a server, at a restaurant and fall in love with wine and then decide to start making your own wine. Costa Brown did that. They did a great job. Built a brand, sold it for like $40 million, 15 years down the road. But they were doing some phenomenal wines, and they just started in their garage, kind of broke the mold. They didn't give a shit about what critics thought. That was kind of the approach I took in the wine industry too. They just were like, we believe that this wine is what we love drinking, and other people are going to love drinking it too. And it was a great success. But their wines were full blown, just monster Pinots, and they just had a desire to do it. Started small, grew up, grew up, grew up, and eventually, they didn't need to sell out. But I think they were kind of like, it turned into a business they weren't expecting, and so I think they wanted to get back to their roots of just doing small production stuff. So yeah, that's it. But don't ever worry about the critics. Critics are that's one person's opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you could start out and you get your $200 kit, and you could just start there
Yeah,
and make your wine, and don't care about what people say, and make it how you want it. And then you can kind of like level up as you're getting, like you're talking about, getting bigger in production, right? And
yeah,
then you
and
start getting into the forklifts and
you're allowed to make a certain amount of wine. I don't know if each state's different, but you can make wine in your house for personal use, personal consumption, without having to get all the permits. So my recommendation is before, like, get used to it, make 100, 200 gallons of wine before you actually go out and start a business. And once you feel like you're ready to jump in, then go ahead and jump in, and then there's a lot of paperwork. Because the government is so amazing, they give us work to do for them, and they want to know exactly how much money we owe them in taxes. So it's a I think the TTB is the second biggest revenue generator for the United States government, with one of the smallest teams. Crazy.
yeah, it is crazy.
Guess what number
And
one
you're
is?
what is number one?
I believe it's the IRS. It's another one of my favorites.
Well, you mentioned like the critics, right? And what I think is like interesting is, I've heard stories about, when you first started out with Bell Gloss, and it's come up about, wine ratings and stuff. I think that's also what people might be thinking about when they're first starting a winery. Well, they also want to come out and they want it to be great, right? You want it to be the
Yeah.
best. And you're looking at those ratings of Wine Spectator, Wine Enthusiasts. Like, are they going to like?
Yeah, you want like 100-point wine, right?
Yeah.
No, that's I mean, disregard that. So when I started, like my first 3 vintages were like from the Wine Spectator below 80, which like deems the wine undrinkable, and so it was an uphill battle. But what I did was just hit the streets, right? I went out there, talked to sommeliers, wine
Yeah.
buyers, went to events that were pouring for the consumer, and everybody loved the wines. And so it's like, fuck you, critics. Like I don't need you. If people believe the wines and they're going to endorse it, and third party endorsement is like the best critique you can get, anyways. in my mind at least. So it's about getting out there, representing your brand, telling your story, and tasting people on it, and having them believe in the product as much as you do, and then it will continue to grow from there. So critics are not a necessity. If you're chasing scores, you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
That's like the ego play. That's like, I made $1 billion in tech. I'm buying a winery. I'm hiring the best vineyard management team, the best winemaker, and we're gonna make a 100-point wine and sell it for $1,000 a bottle. And I'm putting my dick on the table, and that's like, that's the ego play. We don't need more of that shit in the wine business.
We don't need dicks on the table.
No, no.
I'm glad we clarified that. No, I mean, but it is cool. I mean, to mention, having those low scores, and now seeing, it's been awesome to see those 90 plus scores, for Belglass and Wine Spectator and everything. I mean, I know their whole process is they do like 15,000, I guess, ratings a year. But I want to know about that process a little bit.
So I think what happened with our brands was like we started with these low scores, right?
Yeah.
But then they were growing because people liked to drink them, and so all of a sudden we had credibility with the population of America, right? And people love the wines, which I was really proud of, really really happy to see. And so all of a sudden you put the critics in this position where they need to give you a good score because they need to stay relevant with their readership. And so that I think they were kind of like forced, like, okay, obviously people like these wines. I look like the jackass that doesn't know anything about wines because they keep drinking it and I keep giving it shitty scores. And so finally, all of a sudden, it went from like 80s to like mid to low 90s. And it was, the shitty part of that is like, from a supply standpoint, of course, once you see like a 94-point score, there's like a run on all of your wine, and then you run out of stock. And then, so then I was kind of like, well, now double fuck you, critics. Now, now I'm out of stock, and like I can't plan for trying to make sure we have enough wine for an entire year. So we work to make those list placements and like on wine lists. We work to make those placements on retail shelves, and like you run out of stock, you got to go back and do all that work over again. So
well, after this podcast, you might go back into the 70s, but we'll see. Just kidding. It's all about go with your palate. I love that story about you, and it's cool that you, like you said, you hit the streets and the people. You gave the people what they wanted, and it was good response. There's a lot of good stories there. It comes up a lot about naming your wine, and I think when people start their winery, having the winery name, you have a lot of cool names for the different wines that you have out there. So just like a little bit about how you come up with these names, any kind of stories.
So yeah, if you're starting a winery, you're gonna have to come up with a name at some point. So number one, make it something that pertains to what you're doing in the wine or what your philosophy is in grape growing, winemaking, or kind of what the brand's North Star is, if you have one, that kind of thing. So it's got to be something that really means something and has a story that's relevant. And most importantly, get a long list of those names because there's a lot of names that are trademarked out there and you can't use them. So you go to USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, and you can actually like look in your category of, say, alcoholic beverages, so beer, wine, spirits, and you'll be able to find out if that name is trademarked in that class. So if it is, go with another name because you don't want to get into a trademark infringement lawsuit. Those things are like just like nothing in the legal world is fun. So yeah, you want to make sure you have a name that's clean and then register it. Or you can just be first used in the market, and if you can prove that and somebody else uses that name, then you can actually trademark it later. So that's always an important thing. But what do our names mean? Well, Belglass, named after my grandmother.
Yeah.
Inspiration to me. Lover of Pinot Noir. You got Elowan, it means good light, talking about the the difference in the amount of sunlight we get during summer solstice in Oregon versus what we do here in California. Bowen, meaning the farm. Back to my farming roots. I started in farming and wanted to focus on that. And let's see, I mean, the list goes on, right? Quilt is like the easiest name to say for us. It's the patchwork of Napa Valley.
Yeah.
And it just signifies that the way that we look at creating a Napa Valley cab from 7 different sub-appellations is kind of like, it's cohesive. We can make a consistent blend every year, and we're calling it Quilt after the patchwork in Napa Valley. So they all kind of have a storyline to them.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
meaning and they're cool names.
Yeah.
I
Some of
like
them
them.
are hard to say.
You have a lot of vowels.
A lot of vowels. A lot of vowels. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then what's really cool though too is I want to share like for working here is that I do like how you've incorporated, for your team, for the newcomers or even people that haven't had a chance but they've been here for a while, that every year you kind of do this Copper Cane University,
Yeah.
which has been really cool for an opportunity for people to learn basically dirt to bottle in what, like 2 days.
2 days. Yeah. So because it's so hard to really get a feel for the wine business. So having them come in and we kind of created this, yeah, like this university, right? That it's like a 2 day
Yeah.
university. And so they come in the morning, go out and pick fruit, go to the winery, destem it. We put it into 3 different vessels. We do one that's a control, just letting it sit there. One that is cryo extraction, where we're putting dry ice in to freeze the cell wall, so we get more extraction during fermentation. The other is inoculated with yeast right away. That way, once the fermentation takes off, they actually see the formation of the cap, understand extraction and punch downs and why we're doing what we're doing for the next 24 hours. And they just participate in that, and then we go through each one of the wines and talk about details. But that hands-on approach, I think, is really what separates kind of book knowledge from like you actually have something
Yeah.
tactile. You understand it. You own that piece of it. So that's been a ton of fun, and we will be doing more of that actually up at the new winery. We're doing some caves up at La Cagna, and that'll be an interactive winery. So when people come in, they're actually able to participate in one day because we'll be fermenting year round, which we have a method of how we can do this. It's not something that's typically done, but it's going to be a really cool experience for people that are interested in winemaking and want to learn the basics of it and actually be involved and hands on for a day at a time.
So I think it's like sums it up that if you're really interested in starting a winery, one important takeaway is hands on. Like go
Yeah,
in there,
you don't need a
get your hands
degree.
dirty. You know, maybe you can come into when the winery is ready and
Yeah.
and do the hands on with you.
Yeah, and degrees are overrated. Like
Yeah,
you get a degree and all of a sudden you're in this like box. It's like no, you gotta be hands on. You gotta learn how to do the shit and just get it done. So what like is important to me, work ethic number one. Get out there and just do it. Like just get started. Don't sit on your couch and be like, I really don't feel like going on doing the punch downs right now. It's like no, get your fucking lazy ass off the couch and go do your punch downs.
Well, speaking of the punch downs, I did learn a lot of great punch down techniques. I might throw the video on the here in post, and
Oh.
and then you can see it afterwards. Because if you saw it right now, you're probably gonna be impressed. But ending on that, I think it's time. Looks like you want to jump into some TikTok stuff.
Yeah, let's do TikTok.
Yeah. Let me get a little sippy sip. Okay, so what's it like becoming a TikTok superstar sensation?
I don't even doesn't even faze me. I don't even know what TikTok is really.
Okay, so like, I gotta think about this for a second. 111,000 followers right now. You have 75 million views overall. And let's see, you started January this year actively posting on TikTok.
Dude,
And you're telling me you're not a superstar?
I don't think that I'm anywhere near superstar status yet when it comes to TikTok. Like, we're just out doing our thing. We're just having fun. It's about education. I mean, what can I say, man? I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Yeah. Well, that's very humble.
That's I'm in my TikToker sort of like vibe right now. So, that's it. I don't know what to say.
I love it, dude.
Am I just supposed to wear this for this whole segment? I feel
Yes, TikTok is okay. Look, this is what I love about it, though, dude. Because you are really humble, dude. And I know it took us a long time. It was like pulling teeth to get you into the TikTok world. And Then when you finally hit it, here you are. Tell me like what when we finally got you onto it, what like made you finally say, yes, I'll do it, and what was like the mission?
It started with the pandemic. First of all, these glasses are really
No, he came
these
up
are
on.
really annoying.
He's
Like,
wearing.
the
I wish you
audio
could
is
see.
like
Okay,
going straight back into my ears.
if you can't
Uh,
see, he's got these huge, dude, these huge rainbow kind of glasses. They cover your nose and everything.
I think
I
these are
like
like
them
made
though.
for like motorcycle riding in Florida with no helmet. That's I think
Yeah,
what they're made for.
they're rad.
Yeah.
And you got and you got your shirt that we made you wear that says TikTok famous. Yeah, it's looking good though.
So yeah, so it started with the pandemic, and we realized that because I am a private guy and didn't really like social media much, and wasn't on it very often. So realized through that there was a big opportunity for education of wine and entrepreneurship and all that. So we started with Instagram, got used to that. We were doing a lot of like live streams during the pandemic, just keeping people engaged with wine, teaching them about things, and I got more comfortable with it. And then at the urging of you and the social media team, it was like, we got to try TikTok. And I was like, it's just kids dancing. I don't think it's going to work. Um, and we tried a few and saw that the interaction between like the viewer and us was so much quicker than any other platform. So we were able to answer questions either in video response or in just written response, and it just kept it very interactive. But I also saw that there was a huge gap in wine education. Like there's nobody doing good wine education. I mean, not nobody, but very few doing good wine education on TikTok. And so looked at that as like we have an opportunity here to get this next generation excited about wine. So it's a mix of education and entertainment, as I think TikTok should be. And overall, it's been a great experience. I can't believe how many followers we've got. It seems like the wax is like a big thing. People really engage with us on like waxing bottles, but also we try to have a little fun, like bringing some comedy into farming and what's like a super traditional industry. Like the wine industry is very traditional. When you even say like drop an F bomb, people are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he just did that. He's supposed to be a winemaker."
What's an F bomb sound like?
Fuck. Is this ASMR?
That was like a smoke bomb. Oh, that's kind of. I got chills.
So it's we're doing ASMR bad words now.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
AMSR. Are we gonna go on that tangent?
Just trying to
Okay,
relax
we're gonna
it.
try to stay on track.
I don't know ASMR. Maybe we could do an ASMR of like
Okay.
waxing.
Yeah.
No, like waxing the bottle.
Oh my gosh, that's it. Because I told you I used to do it back in the day to help me sleep, and I would do like the storyline ones. Like there was like a spaceship one where it's like, get in your space capsule.
Beep, boop,
Beep,
boop,
beep,
beep.
boop, boop. You're going to the moon. Anyways, you could do like a wine one, right? Where like it's just like, get in the wine bottle. You're like, I don't know.
You're a droplet of wine. You're
Yeah.
now being placed into the wine bottle slowly. So I don't know what is going to work next, but like we're having a lot of fun with this, and I think first you got to get used to the haters, right? Because everybody is an expert on everything on TikTok, and there are all these fucking douchebags that just hide behind a profile that has 0 posts, and you're like, if you're gonna talk shit to me, I'll talk shit back to you. But like more importantly, I'll take whatever it is you're saying and educate even further if possible. And so, like even just like one of our more recent videos, like summer hack for like chilling wine. So like I don't know if we can pull that up.
Yeah. We got some videos to pull up. We can go through.
But this summer hack of chilling wine, here it is. Tip for the summer: if you want to chill your rosé or white wines down quick, put it in an ice bucket and spin it around for a few minutes. Way faster than a fridge. What's important about this is that it is about the agitation, right? You got to get that wine moving in the bottle because the glass is your barrier to chilling, right? So it's going to chill the exterior of the wine in that bottle, if that makes sense. So if it's not moving, you're just going to get like a chill on the exterior, and then the rest of the wine on the interior, it's going to take much longer to chill. So you got people coming in saying like, add salt, gets cooler faster. Do your homework, kid. Okay, KP916, can we pull up his profile? Who the fuck is this? Oh, private account, 3 followers, KBNXUE. You're lucky for the call out, little bitch. So, guys like this, or girls, whatever, No, that's definitely a dude. I don't want to assume the gender, but
You can't even see. It's just two bright eyes from a hat.
and no bio yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
We go back to the
it's
comment too.
if you add salt to ice and ice water, yes, the water temperature is going to go lower. That it'll be able to get lower. Water freezes at a lower temperature.
Yeah.
With salt in it, but you need the agitation. So we're going to do something like this, a response to this now, and show them that the difference between just putting it in a salt water ice bath, agitating it in just regular salt or a regular ice water, and dropping it in the freezer because somebody else had a good idea of dropping it in like a wet towel. But the point is showing them how you can quickly get it down in temperature. So we're looking at like in a 5 minute period, 3 to 5 minutes, how cool will it get? And I am 100% positive that we are going to be right. Even though the industry experts on TikTok decided that it was something different. So, yeah, anyways.
I just love your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It touched my heart. You know, but yeah, for real. I mean, you've always said that education is a big part of your focus. I love to see you out there and making it fun. And then to see the type of hate. Can you drink with those glasses on? I wish you could. If you can't see this, oh, that's good. I know there was we also had like some popular conflicts with. You did a barrel tasting. I don't know if we can bring that video up, or maybe it got taken down. We'll get into that too, of your experience with getting warnings and stuff like that on TikTok.
How do you drink from the glass and then pour the rest back into the barrel? Seems unsanitary? You gotta be kidding me. It's absolutely sanitary. What we want to do throughout the aging life of these wines is taste on multiple occasions to assess the quality and how it's aging. To do so, we need a proper pour so that we can assess the aromatics and flavors properly. Now we just take a small sip and we'll spit it on the ground, and then we'll dump the rest back into the barrel. Imagine all the losses we'd have with pouring ounces and ounces of wine from each barrel all over the ground. So to the question, is it sanitary? Abso-fucking-lutely. There's 14 to 16% alcohol in this wine, killing all the germs you can imagine. Secondarily, we go ahead and we do a final filtration prior to bottling so that these wines are clean and pristine. So, my French brethren and all the French lovers out there, one thing that they do that I was always not necessarily appalled by, but surprised by, was they spit back into the glass and then pour it in, because they think their wine is so special that it should also include a good amount of their saliva.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I gotta touch on the French thing first, because
Yeah.
some of these guys are making like 2 barrels a year, like a tiny amount in Burgundy.
Yeah.
So every little drop counts, and so they actually spit back in the glass, put it back in the barrel, and so yeah, you've got alcohol in your favor, you've got sulfur in your favor. There's no microbes of any kind. There's no fucking COVID going into your bottled wine, and this is a very common practice. I mean, this is like what everybody does in the wine business. At least pouring your empty glass back in to the barrel, or the remnants of your glass. But I think going and spitting back in is too far.
Yeah.
So, but that's it. But yeah, so this was a fun one because it triggered a lot of people, and there's nothing I love more than triggering people. And it's the element of snowflakes has been not just adding to the entertainment value of what we can do on TikTok, but hopefully is the beginning of a means to an end. Like, I'm encouraging everybody out there, just melt the snowflakes. Call them out on their shit. We don't need to live in a world where the lowest common denominator is always the winner. We got to make the right decisions rather than being like, oh, let me cater to the most whatever fucking tiny detail that you want me to cater to. It's like, everybody lives their lives. Everybody should do good and live a positive life and respect everybody else. But like, don't put that shit on us. Like, you're gonna ruin society.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I you have an opportunity also on this platform to do like you did here and have your reply back to educate those that require further education.
Yeah.
Of like those trolls and the haters, and I like it too because I think you're also standing up for. There's other people out there just trying to put out content, just trying to have fun, and it's creating this fear that we don't need, like, in this world. It's all about creators and like putting out what you love and just expressing energy, putting out positive energy out there. And to have someone come in, all they can focus on is like, you put the wine back in the barrel.
Or like somebody's on a forklift and doesn't have a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. We
will
try our best to like make sure everything is, all safety.
Yeah.
We do a lot of training and all that, but sometimes somebody might just forget, and we'll have to talk to them and make sure that we go through the training again. But it does happen. Shit happens like that.
No, totally. So
One of my favorites though is how TikTok. I don't know what their algorithm is, but they decided to take a few of our posts down.
we're
One
gonna
of
get into
them-
this.
Yeah, I want to
you're-
talk about the one that was about the fire. What was the dangerous one?
we had
Because
so we did,
this is our feed, right? So we can still view it.
Yeah. I don't know if they might have taken that video down. So this is what's been interesting for you too, is that I remember that video is we had an awesome shoot with Gilbert at Drink in Moderation.
Yeah, yeah.
His IG. Awesome photographer, amazing, just travels the world, focusing on these epic kind of wine photos and art.
They're beautiful photos.
yeah.
That guy is talented beyond belief. Like
Yes.
he captures kind of like what I hope we're doing is like bringing a different light into wine. Like it's not this, stodgy old sort of beverage anymore. Like
Yeah.
wine is cool. Wine tastes great with such a broad array of foods. Like we have to make it cool. We got to step it up instead of just being like always talking about the geeky stuff about wine. Yeah, we can go on and on about that, but that's not what's going to get people excited about wine. So, Gilbert came out and like
You were like, he
we
was
were like,
asking.
we're like, let's do some crazy shit. We did the wine shower with all the crappy like bulk wine we had,
Yeah.
and then but then we did one where we lit barrels on fire and I stood on top of the barrels.
You jumped over a flaming barrel
Okay,
as
jumped
well.
over the flaming barrel, but that
And you
that's
stood
what
on it.
that's what got
Yes,
Pulled down?
we put this post on. Joe is at that time he's standing on a burning barrel. It was really cool reel of our shoot that day, and it was kind of this warning on violence. I think it was the fire but there was no violence involved. It was basically we're just doing the shoot. You're just having fun.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like a year ago, when Minneapolis is burning, they're like, "Yeah, go ahead and post all that stuff. That's not dangerous. People are shooting people in the streets."
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't. It doesn't make. I don't know.
I don't know if is it censorship or like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. But we're gonna keep on doing our shit. We're gonna have fun, and
Yeah.
and hope to keep educating people because that is at the end of the day what we're trying to do.
And I think you're just trying to find the guidelines, and if there's ever any more improvement in customer service with communication, so we can better understand. All we want to do is be able to get the education factor out there, have fun, do artistic stuff. That's what you're doing, and I think it's cool. So we'll.
In summary, education, entertainment, melting snowflakes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're about on social media.
Melting snowflakes.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, before we go, do we also have some positive, some videos I think that people really like too? I think there was like the Vineyard Vibrator.
Okay, so this is where like we want to take education and add a little bit of entertainment. So
Yeah.
like what I'm saying here is actually like totally true. It's just that in the dirty minds of human beings, they
Oh.
take it differently.
Okay.
So is it a little bit of innuendo? Just a touch.
Okay, so
But-
if you're watching this video, okay, we're watching this video as well. If there was anyone that's listening, that if they take this video in any other way that in professional and educational, like in a dirty way,
Yeah.
they need to look at themselves at that.
They
because
might be
they're-
a sex addict.
Let's see though.
They might be a
because
sex
I
addict.
think I might
All right.
have some problems.
Fun fact, soils like vibrators too. It helps loosen up the soil. Today we're running a dual shank behind our tractor with what's called a vibra soiler that's going to have 2 duck feet on the base of it that are oscillating back and forth or up and down so that it breaks the soil up. Let's take a look at what it does.
Look at that soil.
Not only does this vibrator help us with deeper penetration for water and fertilizer, but it also promotes root growth, which is one of the most important things, breaking up that hard pan deep down. It's a great opportunity for us to allow these young vines an opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, so there you have it. It was I felt like it was educational. People got to see, and we did get a lot of great comments on this, but we also had people like bagging on farming, and this is where like I love talking about farming because farming is like the foundation of human civilization. And I mean, it's like we're harming the earth. It's like, no, we're giving back to the soil on a regular basis. So it's something fun to be able to talk about. Again, TikTok just gives us that quick ability to respond in an educated fashion, just to further our ability to educate people.
Yeah, I mean, like some of the comments here were, my brain trying its best to keep it rated G over here. So maybe that's one of those people that were having some problems, but so
I was hoping to see something pink. Jesus Christ! All right, yeah, I didn't see that one
the
yet.
Earth 9 months later.
Oh man, there's some hilarious
So
comments.
hey, there's a good amount of dirty vibes out there, but hey,
Yeah,
I guess dirt. We're talking dirt.
We're talking dirt. We're talking
dirty
cultivation.
minds.
We're talking
it all
making
works.
sure the soil stays healthy. So yeah, that's it.
So would you have any advice for people, because I know you just got into this game, but it has been recognized. We also have other people that have triple the following, kind of reaching out to us, asking advice on what you're doing. And I know you're just being you, but if there was anything,
I think that's it. Just be you. Like, so I had to speak to some politicians a couple weeks ago, and this like reigns true for like everybody, right? That we live in such a culture now that people are so scared to like let their true feelings and thoughts out because you might offend somebody, right? Again, back to melting snowflakes. But if you just like are honest about what you think and you can stand behind your perspective and back it up, like yeah, I don't agree with everybody on their political viewpoints, but I can still come to the table and respect them as a human and get along and have a great time with them. But when it comes to talking to these politicians, it was like, make a choice, do something. You got to like stand for something or nothing at all. You're just going to be an empty suit sitting there at a desk if you just are like, I don't want to go out and offend anybody, so I'm not going to choose what I think is the right direction. And so you got to kind of let your personality out there, be on full display, and just have confidence in what it is that you're doing. And that's what we're doing on TikTok. And then just kind of having a little bit of fun with it. So I don't know. That's my advice.
heck yeah. Well, I think that will lead us into our final segment of this podcast, which will be
But I
motivation.
finally get to take these off?
You can't, dude. You wore those sunglasses the whole time. That's
Wow.
awesome.
All of a sudden, I feel
Yeah.
like more of a human.
That's awesome. I give you props for that, dude. All right.
All right,
All
next.
right. So,
What? Do you
What?
want to start this?
oh no, go ahead.
No, fucking.
No, I want you
No,
to.
I want. Do you want
This
me to
is- I
lay
wanna
yellow
ask you-
brick road for you to talk about motivation? You and your Horus shirt.
It says, who cares?
Nobody,
'Cause I
Chris.
don't care. I do
Nobody
what I
cares.
want.
Nobody cares.
Right,
No, we're
sorry.
gonna talk about motivation now. So it's I think this is something we can all work on, right? And
Yeah.
I think that the way that I look at motivation is, number one, do what you love, right? You got to like at least have a hobby that really drives you. But I've got a couple keys to like what's motivated me over the years, and we'll probably just like start talking through all those things. I mean, what motivates you?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think exercise is a big one for me.
Because you're 220 pounds, right?
Yeah. So for the record, if you can't see me, I am 220, 6'1".
Nothing but muscle. Nothing
Because it's
but muscle.
all up here, buddy. It's
You're
all in
so
your mind.
you're so lean.
It's driven.
You identify.
Well, I'm
as
actually in a-
you identify as 220
Wait, hold on.
pounds.
I do, but I'm also going into a cutting phase because I'm a professional and I compete
So-
in my own fitness
Your own
competitions.
fitness competition in your house.
Yeah, because really, if you think about it, if we're going to be talking about motivation here, the only person you need to worry about is yourself. You just need to beat your mind.
Wow, man, that hit me like right in the heart.
You want to
Like,
take a
wow.
moment? Let
Yeah,
that set
I
in?
think so. My tears.
No, I
Running down
was
nose.
actually I was actually stoked about this because I was wondering what motivates you. I mean, you have so much. It feels like your life is so full, and yet I see you continually to add more adventures to it. You seem to always have also a good attitude. I mean, I've seen you go from like a business meeting to like a live in the matter of seconds, and you're just kind of hopping on while you go to the next to be with your family and make dinner
I
and
think
stuff like
it
that.
really starts with just you got to love what you do, like,
Yeah.
and you got to find the positive in everything. Nothing's ever perfect, right? And you got to like appreciate the imperfections of it. I think that's a big part of it. Like, I know we were like just talking recently about when like if I'm preparing for a seminar, like if I'm giving a seminar on mechanized farming or whatever it might be, or a speech about our wines. Like I'll write everything down, right? You gotta like have a game plan, kind of write the structure down, and then study it a little bit, not too much, but at least have a couple glances. But writing it down really helps you. And if I hit like 75% of all of those topics, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
But I'll go back to my notes and be like, fuck, I missed these 25 percent of the points I wanted to make. But it's like you can't be perfect. Don't expect perfection. Just know that you're always going in that direction and you're always trying, and you're gonna get the majority of your points across in that scenario. But I don't know. I think that humans want to be challenged, right? Everybody wants something. They want to keep stepping up that ladder in whatever case, whether it's in your job, your personal life, your relationships, all that stuff. So I think that in itself motivates you. But a good plan is important. And the reason I say that is like, since I was a teenager, I'd write my goals down. And this is a tip I think everybody can use. And it wasn't like just, oh, by the end of the year, I want to do this. It was like, but in 5 years, I want to do this. In 10 years, I want to do this. And you keep those notes and update them like every year. But you always have like these North Stars ahead of you that you're going towards. And I believe that your subconscious is guiding you to that. And you may ping back and forth, like you may be going off route a little bit, and then eventually you're just going to get right back on route. You may go the other way a little bit, but eventually you're going to get to that goal as long as you believe in it. It's kind of like if you manifest it. I mean, like shit, I don't like talking about Mayomi, but I'll talk about Mayomi real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So I was, it was like early on, and I was like, I want to be the biggest producer of Pinot Noir in the world.
Yeah.
And everybody just laughed at me. They're like, yeah, right. Like you're doing like a couple thousand cases. And I was like, no, I'm going to become the biggest producer of Pinot Noir in the world. And we just kept growing and growing and growing and going towards that point. And until like some point, I don't know, maybe 2012, 2011, somewhere in there, we were the largest producer of Pinot Noir in the world. And it was a good feeling, like accomplishing that goal. And so what does that do? It motivates you to accomplish more goals. We sold that brand, by the way, if anybody doesn't know, so stop drinking Mayomi, please. We got other brands that are really good, way better.
Well, okay, I just want to jump in though too. Not to talk about Miami, but I guess we are. But and also it's different now, right? I mean, is that just the facts? It's not
I'm
really
just
the
going to
same
say, because I don't want to like
juice. Can we
bag
say
on
that?
it, but
Are we gonna?
get a bottle of Bowen Pinot Noir and a bottle of Mayomi. Try the two together. Let me know what you think.
Go with your palate.
Go with your palate. Yeah.
That's what I like that. I like that you. Okay, so you brought up you being a teenager. I've known you all your life. So those teenage years, in those teenage years, you were putting pen to paper, writing down goals, starting this manifesting, and I think it's important to note that I don't know if our viewers can see this. I just happened to. This was Joe, and I'll explain it for you though. Listening, this was Joe when he was a teenager, and if I'm looking at Joe right now, he's got these bleached dreadlocks.
Yeah.
You bleached them all the way down to your shoulders. You're not sticking out your tongue, but your tongue was pierced.
My tongue was pierced.
That. Yeah. That did you?
I was going through a phase, Chris. Teenagers do that. It's nothing weird. I got dreadlocks, and I think that's also like being just aggressively independent, right? Most teenagers go through that, but like I still have that belief, right? Like you got to differentiate yourself. So don't just go with the herd. Be the leader, and you can't like lead by following what somebody else is doing. You've got to come up with something totally genuinely unique and new, at least just like a spin that nobody's done. And so back in my teenage days, I got my tongue pierced just because I had a fear of needles, And
Yeah.
I
No,
still
you
have a
dude,
fear.
you are.
I still do.
I don't like needles much myself either. But
I passed
yeah.
out. I passed out when I got my tongue pierced.
Yeah.
I did have an ear piercing, one of those. I don't even know what they're called anymore. The one way up here.
No, the upper.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the upper ear.
And I mean, this is kind of embarrassing. I actually pierced my penis.
Oh, this is like very motivating right now. I'm just like overcome with motivation. No, I was gonna say I always looked up to you, and I'm glad that you brought this up. But go ahead. Okay, sorry.
That thing was a hindrance. I don't recommend
He pierced his
penis
penis.
piercings.
Yeah. he
Don't
pierced it.
recommend it at all.
Did you pass out when you did that one? Because I wasn't there for that one. Just I want to make sure that's on the audio. I was not present for
Yeah,
that.
I was.
that adventure.
No, I actually didn't pass out for that one. Surprisingly.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, but that was the last piercing I ever got. That's for sure.
Okay, wait. Okay. Look, we're not gonna. We're getting off subject. We're not gonna talk. But was it like a Prince Albert, or was it? Because there's different styles. No, should I?
No, it was through the bottom.
Okay,
through like
good,
the
okay.
you know that like little like sensitive spot they call it the man clit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just do that. If you're still listening, didn't turn out. I know.
Let's get
Is it
back to
funny? Yeah,
motivation. This is not about.
Who
this
is
not about private
motivated
parts.
right now? No, yeah, but I brought that up because really, I was an only child, and even though you're younger than me, I happened to be like you were like that older brother, like looked up to you all the time. I thought it was badass. You were a rebel. You were doing your thing, but I also see probably the judgments and stuff that you had to face coming up in this wine world, being the young gun, kind of like the rebel, having come from, just being, I don't want to say like the outcast. You were a rebel in your own way, and you just did what you want, and you just expressed yourself the way that was you, which is awesome.
Well, yeah,
you know?
so do what you love, and then be motivated by that kind of like criticism, right? So like, yeah, I grew up in the wine business with my family, and they taught me a ton. And so coming in, it's like you almost have to overprove your commitment to an industry, and you got to work harder, do better, and really fuck up much less. And so because your fuck ups are going to be on display, right? People are like they're wanting you to fail,
Yeah.
and that's why that's another motivating factor. So take that negative energy and I mean, some people use jade eggs now to try and like adjust the energy. I've never put one in my butthole, but I've heard that people use these jade eggs. I don't know. Maybe that's what breaks the energy. Don't ask me. Go online and look. Don't go online and look that up. But like, yeah, no. But it's you got to take that negative energy and like morph it into a positive that motivates you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back and say it's actually good to be an outcast. You know what I mean? It's good to stand out from the rest, to do your thing. And jade eggs, be crazy. Do what you got to do.
Oh, yeah.
For motivation. I do want to say though too is because we touched a little bit about it in social media, but I also like how you've been able to be fueled by the haters. And this is something that I've thought about a lot. And I'm not just talking about haters in the wine business, wine world, or if you're on social media just trying to do a fun TikTok video and, people are just trying to talk smack. I feel you've been able to transfer that negative energy, make it positive to fuel you.
Always fight negativity with positivity. I think that's a huge thing. So like, even if you're in an argument, try to collaborate with the person that's arguing with you. Try to like move it into something.
I'm gonna give that one a try when I'm talking to my wife.
Yeah, good luck.
We're having a
Good
friendly
luck
discussion.
Good luck with
I'm
me.
just trying to collaborate with you on these dishes right now.
Call me when you're in a fetal position, and I'll come pick you up.
Yeah. No, but I like this idea. Like,
But that's it. So like, if you keep going down that negative path, like you've gotta find something positive to respond with immediately. Because if you keep going down that negative path, it's like nobody's gonna win the argument, and there's not really an argument to be won. It's just like you either need to agree to disagree and respect each other, or you're going to educate each other on each other's perspectives and eventually come to a resolution where maybe the right answer is actually somewhere in the middle.
yeah.
It's like a negotiation, right? In any case, negotiations are always about compromise. So you've always got to be like willing to give a little or a lot, but understanding where the other person is, and how far you can go and how far you think they can go, and you're both going to give in on something, and that's where the art of negotiation is compromise. And
Yeah.
yeah, but it's all being approached with positivity and like looking for a solution. I hate that whole like that word like I'm solution oriented, that sort of thing where people like say like, oh yeah, he's a very solution based person. It's
Yeah.
like but I do think that in the back of your mind always look for like you're always looking to solve. You're always looking for an end game that keeps everybody somewhat happy. You're not going to make everybody pleased completely, but like yeah, you got to find some middle ground.
Totally. Would you ever listen to a playlist or some kind of music before you're about to do something, or you know, while you're
I love
cooking to
I
motivate
love
your?
like Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Is it
some of Queen's songs are like the most motivating songs. So I go Queen. I listen to some like it's kind of weird, but like classical music, but like new songs
No.
done
Yeah.
in classical, then like with a quartet. So like the Vitamin String Quartet, like look them up. They're pretty like I don't know what it is. It's just like no words. You're just but the songs, right? So like Hey Ya from Outkast, and it's like a cello, two violins, and like
Wait. Hold
a
on. Can we?
piano.
What the
The
was it?
Vitamin String Quartet.
Dude, I'm gonna know all about that right now. See,
But
that
yeah,
was
some
really
like old
good.
school rap going to the '90s.
Yeah.
Tupac, Dre, even a little Eminem. Go like the whole 8 Mile thing. Yeah, yeah. How about you?
Even
What's your motivating music?
dude, I'm actually. It's funny that you said 8 Mile, because I was like all about like Eminem, just doing like my B Rabbit, like in the mirror sometimes. Um, I also like. I've been listening to NF recently.
That guy's aggressive.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like. Yeah, I like that aggressive stuff too. And
Yeah,
it's kind of fun because he mentions even in his music that he was like inspired by Eminem.
I actually like him better than Eminem from like the aggressive
Yeah,
standpoint. But yeah, that's like another guy. Like that guy just kind of went his own way. He was like, screw the establishment, screw what everybody thinks of me.
yeah,
Like I can do this, and he did it. He did good.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I hop all around, and now I'm gonna be like all up on that symphony.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's good stuff.
Yeah. We'll see what V thinks about
He was-
that. It's like my ears are bleeding, Chris.
This is
Stop
not an
the
argument.
music.
I'm collaborating with you because Joe taught me that's how we're gonna keep it
It's
positive.
one of your favorite songs. It's just in a quartet format. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good stuff. I think we did that. I think I was doing a little research before we came onto this, just like kind of looking about like motivation with like our jobs out there and stuff like that. And I guess it's like recently they're finding out it's like 36% of people working in their jobs are motivated. So there's like 36%
That's
of people.
sad.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
And so, and I guess that's actually higher than it was probably like 5 years ago. But it's still probably lasted. It's still been consistent through the pandemic. But
Do you think, I'm just going to throw this out there, do you think that it's because people are not being challenged as much anymore?
well,
Like, because I truly believe, like, when people are, like, super busy at work and taking on new tasks and they're learning stuff, like, that's what we all need, like, in our core.
yeah,
And if you're not doing that, you're just, like, doing the same thing, like, all the time and not having something new injected into it. But also, like, in California, it kind of sucks. Like, the government almost just, like, holds the employer to a point where you really can't push people out of their norm and allow them to grow in a huge way. I mean, that's something we try to do internally here, but I know when you're a bigger organization, it's like you just have these very specific roles. You don't go out of the box. You don't do anything beyond that, and that's it. And there's kind of like this. I don't know. I maybe it's partly that too.
I actually think you do a great job at motivate because I think it's also because I was like seeing that there was a lot like with motivation and perks. I guess like seemed to be a big motivator for
Yeah.
people. But also, I think it has a lot to do with like the culture, like what you do here. We have it's all about, and that's why the pandemic was so hard for us too, because it was a cookout every month. where the part of like the department, whether it be winemaking or production or administration, they all got to make a theme. You put together your own cookout. Everyone comes. You always had like those things to look forward to. We have outings, like we're actually going to the Giants game
Yeah.
this week. I think that big part of community and unity that those things create of really getting to know each other and having fun. I think it's always
Well,
been
and
big.
then I think knowing what everybody brings to the table, because that's
Yeah.
like, maybe winemaking doesn't know exactly what finance does on a daily basis. So, like,
Yes.
they just sit at a desk all the time. It's like, dude, they're like, our bills won't get paid. We won't be receiving money from the people that are buying our wine. Those are the people that make like the business side work. So when you're able to get up there and talk to the whole company about it, so that everybody knows, and then they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you did this," and then they start talking about it, and then you have kind of crossover between departments, and then everybody kind of gets enmeshed and is all going towards the same goal of winning. I mean, that's the biggest motivator, right? Winning.
Yeah.
Nobody's motivated to be a loser unless you're an emo person. Then
Wait.
maybe you are motivated to be a loser. I don't know. I was never emo.
Goth.
Goth, never went through the goth phase. No, but I think it's when everybody's collaborating and knowing where they're going, and that's I think that culture is a big part of that. But making sure that everybody's like involved in each other's business to a degree, understanding each other, respecting each other, and going towards that goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Well, I mean, to end it, there's, it was 75% of people actually want to quit because of their boss. That's the main reason.
Well,
Which
we
kinda
do
brings
have a
us-
segment called Horrible Bosses.
Which we have a segment called Horrible Bosses, where we want to start this thing where we have our email set up, horrible.bosses@coppercane.com.
Again, that's horrible.bosses@coppercane.com.
Right? Is that right? Did I get that right? Okay.
Okay. No, so we'll go through some examples, but we want to hear your horror stories of bad bosses so that we can talk about what could have been done differently from a boss perspective, and just try to educate people on their career path as they're growing up and into becoming a manager, supervisor, having a business themselves, and what not to do, because there are some really shitty bosses out there. And I try my damnedest to not be one of them, and I think most of the time I'm a good one, but I don't know. I'm sure some people will say otherwise.
You're all
But
You're good, dude.
but
Awesome.
yeah, so send them in. We want to hear your stories. We won't say names. We just want to hear some really gooey, gross stories about bad bosses,
And
dripping.
And it's anonymous, unless,
Unless you want us to call them out.
yeah. Well, we'll keep it anonymous. We'd rather have like the good deets. We'll keep it anonymous, you anonymous. And, it's just really the story and a learning experience for everybody, and we can have some fun.
All right, so we're gonna get into this horrible bosses. So I got the
pull it
story
up.
here.
Here we go.
All right, I'm just gonna read through it. Okay. No names again, right? Okay, so here we go.
This is anonymous. No names.
I first knew he was going to be terrible when I was training with him at the Sullivan Steakhouse in Indianapolis. He tipped 10% at the TGI Fridays by our hotel every night we went out. Bad tippers, man. Watch out for the bad tippers. When back in at the Austin location, he informed me that he no longer ever closed the restaurant because he was in the industry for so long. I ended up closing 4 nights a week, sometimes getting out at 3 a.m. He would often come in with his girlfriend to eat, comp most of the food, and then tip 10%. With all of this, I decided to move into the wine side of things. On my last night, my service manager closed, and in the morning, $400 was missing. He never even counted the bank in the morning. There's a typo there, and evening because he was lazy as fuck. The service manager swore up and down that there was 4 $100 bills the night before. After I left, it got even better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. Escaped out of a window at the landing strip, which is a strip club that was featured on Friday Night Lights, because he could not pay his tab. Stole the $100 Employee of the Month reward for both back of house and front of house for several months. The banquet manager had her laptop stolen, and servers put some money together to help her buy a new one. He offered to cover the rest of the cost, then pocketed that money. Another manager came in to open the restaurant and saw overturned tables and broken glassware. She thought it was a break-in, but it turned out it was him bringing strippers back and dancing on the tables. Organized with one of the chefs, he organized with one of the chefs an operation where they brought in cocaine and peanut butter containers from Mexico. The original service manager closed on his last night, and guess what happened in the morning? This time it was $1,400, and they almost prosecuted the poor service manager. Jeez. There's a lot to unpack here.
Wow. wait, hold on a second. Wait, well, lastly, he did skateboard, though.
He did skateboard, though, yeah. So he must have been a decent guy.
He did skateboard, though. Well, I just want to say, though, we you and I both, just a little tangent, but you and I both skateboarded back in the day. So
yeah,
and we're I think we're cool, dude. We're not like this, dude.
There's nothing wrong with skaters, but okay, theft. I mean, this is like, you could see somebody's integrity, pretty quickly once you get to know them, especially as a boss, right? And are they cutting corners? Are they doing shady stuff? And I mean, that looked like it just had red flags all over it. And it just maybe hit a crescendo with him stealing $1,400 and partying with strippers in a restaurant that he didn't own. I mean, that's like, dude, that guy's got some balls, though. Talk about, that cocaine is one hell of a drug, I guess, right? I mean, to fuel you to do that shit, to make those decisions, you're like, oh, I got an idea. After drinking and doing coke, we're going to a strip club, and then we're going to go into the restaurant that I manage, steal money, a laptop, and bring strippers back, and turn the place over, and pretend it wasn't us.
Wait, and you left out start a business. You always got to start a new business, bitch. So I heard.
All right, so keep your eyes peeled for red flags. That's my advice.
Yeah.
If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. You can't change habits very quickly. And if you're still doing cocaine and smuggling it in from Mexico, that's just go find a new job.
Yeah, and the stealing of money, I mean, like, because there was like this point where he stole the $100 employee of the month money, so that was like supposed to go to someone, and he took that. And it was just like $100.
And so, well, it sounds like this guy that wrote in, he knew some of this stuff was going on
for several months. He took it
while he was working, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what the management system or style was there, or what the ownership, their involvement was. But here's another thing I'd say, just from my perspective, is that, like, here at Copper Cane, we try to keep our organization flat, meaning like there's not these like big climbs to each level or each position. And what's important about that is that, like, I want anybody to feel comfortable, from somebody who's coming in that's only been on the job at the starting position and the cellar. I want them to feel comfortable coming in and talking to me directly, as well as having like our CFO come in and talk to me about anything. So I call it an open door policy. That's exactly what it is. We want to know about what's going on and hear about how we can make the business better, and for the employees. And I think that's an important part of it. So, you should have confidence in going. Got it. Like, some people are going to hate me for saying this. Have confidence in going beyond your direct supervisor and going directly to upper management or ownership, because that's where you're going to get the quickest response. And if it's a valid point and it's something that's not being seen by anybody beyond your direct supervisor, and you don't think that it's the right path, you need to do something to communicate that. So I would say ask your employer if there is an open door policy, because at some point it's just going to stop with that dude that's doing all this illegal shit, stealing money, and everybody else suffers except for him. But who's going to stop him if he's the manager and the owner, as an example, doesn't know what's going on?
Yeah. And you could, or he could get busted and they all crash in there, and then he just turns to you and he's like, "It was this guy."
We had this when I was a kid at my family's winery. There was a production manager, and he was selling cocaine out of his office to employees. And so there was one guy who was like a kick-ass forklift driver, and somebody like made a comment, like, they're like, "Nah, he's been off for like a couple weeks," and then one of the other guys was like, well, he's getting all of his cocaine from this guy Mark. I was like, what?
This guy,
So
Mark.
no joke, the sheriff came in and found his stash like hidden in his filing cabinets, and he
Dang.
was just dealing out of the company. He ended up going to prison. So
Yeah.
yeah, good stuff.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Okay. All right.
All right.
What do you say
That's good.
we're gonna jump into a floral segment next?
Yes. 2 men.
One bouquet. Classic. All right, we're gonna go a little vertical and summary on this one. So we've got some filler, solidago. We have some edible stuff.
Ooh.
Kale.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're patronizing middle-aged women right now. And sunflowers, also edible. And then gladiolas to give us some height.
Ooh,
So
pretty.
we're going with a tall, kind of flared base.
Like it.
Got to get the whole thing. We want to see what it looks like in this, and then we're going to wrap it up and give it to some lucky lady. And obviously you can see big summer theme here. Lots of yellow and green. I think this is going to be a very pretty bouquet. So
Yeah.
height is one thing. These are the showpieces right here. We want the sunflowers to be kind of the main on the main stage, right? So I'm liking the height of the sunflowers, and we're gonna let these just kind of like pop out to the side, kind of like just a little crisscross in there.
I like that.
So we want it to be like, like, hey, look at me, I'm here. Evenly
Nice.
placed.
All right, we got some 5 beauties right there.
There we go.
Starting it out.
Nice equal distance between them. And now for this one today, we're actually gonna kind of build it from the bottom up now. So we're gonna start with our kale. So I don't know, some of these leaves are not perfect, but they're okay. So these are just gonna be like little poofs of green, kind of like they got like a little lettucey look to them. Yes, just go ahead and mix them in there.
I like to.
I think we're gonna
in
keep.
I'm gonna stick it in there.
You know what? We might want to drop these down by let's drop it down.
We're gonna drop it down.
We're gonna drop
Oh,
it
we're
down.
gonna drop it down low.
Drop
Sometimes
it
you
down.
gotta do that. Doing your signature diagonal cut. So I think this is really interesting that you're throwing kale into a bouquet. Like I didn't know. I eat kale, but this is kind of cool because
Look at that.
it's like a
that's
huge centerpiece. It looks great. I like it.
this one now.
Do you eat kale?
I do actually. Like the Rutherford Grill has this awesome kale salad.
Oh, yeah. I like mine. I could eat kale salad. I'll get down.
Next, we want this to be about. Actually, that looks like about the perfect height. So let's just intermix these in. We got plenty of this stuff. So good filler, matches the theme of the bouquet, yellow and green.
What's the filler again?
Solidago.
Yeah, that we're putting that above the kale, and that's nice. I like that. Kind of like lights up the space between the kale and the sunflowers.
Let's get a little bit of that in the middle too.
Yeah.
And then try to pull those little kale sprigs out to the front.
Okay.
You can see them. We'll see them once we pull it out of the vase. All right, and last, we just want to leave these babies on high, right? These are, we want the height. So we're gonna go straight down on these, facing the blooms outward.
Oh, okay. So we're finishing off with we're so bad with these.
Gladiolas.
Gladiolas. Thank you. Gosh,
Are
there's
these
so
all
many
the same
flowers.
height though? I want to kind of a little bit of a, adjustment in height. So drop this one down just a little bit.
Like now, would
So
you
they're
like?
not all the same height.
Oh, okay. You like to having a little different. I like that. Makes it dynamic. There you go.
Think one more on that side.
No, yeah, for sure. Oh wow. Look at that. It's like
All right, that's looking good. See our sunflower is still front and center. Lots of good filler in the back. And
Here we go. We're going with our signature newspaper wrap. You got that?
lay it down. One more fresh cut. So any thoughts on names for this bouquet?
Yeah, I know. We have to come up with a name. I think this one's like, I don't know. Like I'm feeling like a mustard celebration, even though there's not mustard in it. How about not so mellow yellow? How about that?
I'm down. Not so mellow yellow. I like that there's like a little bit of red too in the a little bit of red too in the sunflowers. Nice little pop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go full wrap around on this.
Oh.
Got a green rubber band.
Nice touch.
And remember, whenever you give these to somebody, always make sure that they give it another fresh cut before they put it in a vase. And there you have it. Not so mellow yellow.
Yeah, that's gonna brighten someone's day.
Ready to party.
Hey, who's that? Who's getting all these flowers?
I like it. I think it's a good one. 2 men, 1 bouquet.
Until next time.
Boom.